Hi guys, welcome back. This is Rohit from Joistic.
Hi guys, this is Shashank from Joistic.
So guys, post our last video, we got a lot of feedback from non-tech founders regarding what is vibe coding, how do we do it, what are the basic concepts and tools we could use for vibe coding. So we decided of doing vibe coding 101, where we explore all the vibe coding tools. We dive into one of them and also explore the tools that are required to do vibe coding for non-tech founders. I'll just quickly share my screen. Sashank, are we visible? My screen is visible.
Yes.
Yeah. So before going right away into vibe coding, let's see some basic concepts before that. So let's start with what is mobile app and web app. So Sashank, if you can just take us through the key difference between both of them.
So basically, a mobile app is an app which you install on a mobile phone, and a web app is an app you access through a browser. It can be accessed on a phone, on a laptop, or maybe a TV. Nowadays, you can access a browser on a
Right.
TV. The key difference is that for a mobile app, you need a store where you can host your app, and from there only you can install the app. Whereas for accessing your app on a web, you just need a URL or a domain from which anyone can access it from the browser.
Got got it. And what do you think? Like, let's say keeping MVP in perspective and quick development in perspective for all the non-tech founders out there. What do you think is the best approach? Is like mobile app or a web app?
I would say web app is the best approach
Okay.
because there are like two or three key difference there where I would pick a web app. One is the distribution part where you
Okay.
don't have to depend on third parties like Apple or Google to distribute your app, and there is a process where you have to get your developer accounts, you have to pay some subscription fee, and
Right.
then once approved, you can publish your application. Whereas in web app, you just have to host it somewhere and connect your domain, and it's ready to be shared with the world. Anybody can access your application. So that is one key difference. Other key difference I feel is web app can be accessed on a mobile device.
Like
It, yeah, every mobile has a browser, right? So it can be accessed on a mobile device, but a mobile app specifically on a Play Store and Apple Store can't be accessed on any browser. So that is the key difference. That accessibility is more on a web app. And the third
right.
key point is because you are developing an MVP, you need to constantly update your app for
Right.
fix bugs now and
Iteration
then.
is the point here.
Iteration is the key, right? So
Right.
on web app, it's one click. If you can make the changes and deploy it within second, it will be updated on your app, and all the users will be using the newer version. Whereas in mobile app, there is a process that you have to submit your application for again an approval for the update. It takes some days, 1 or 2 days. Otherwise, it also takes weeks to get an
Right.
update. So there is a delay on how fast you can iterate on a mobile app versus a web app. So I think keeping these 3 points in mind, I would say web app is the first choice that every new founder should go when if they are developing an MVP.
Yeah, I think that exactly makes sense. Web app is something that is best for MVP as well as for non-tech founders to explore AI coding, like building apps with AI. Web app is the low hanging fruit that they can try. So even the vibe coding tools that are available right now, like most of them are good at web app development. There are some that do mobile app development, but I think there is time for that to be very efficient. So before going into vibe coding, let's see the other concepts like what is front end, what is back end, what are REST APIs, database, hosting, and all of these things. On a very higher level, let's say if you want to build an app where there is a form, there is a button. When you click on that button, the request goes. Then you have some processing happening, and then you get back in return, let's say a list of news or list of some topics. Now, this form and this button where you click, this is the front end. Where the actual processing happens, that is the back end. The communication between this is what we call as the REST APIs. This is nothing but an medium of transfer. Database is something where you would have stored, let's say it's a Excel sheet, it's a dot text file. This is something where you store your data, and then hosting is something where you host all these things and make it available for the end user. uh, all this sounds a bit complicated, so let's take a simple example of a restaurant to understand this more better. Sachin, can you just explain us how we can relate this to a restaurant?
Sure. So I think this is the best example that we could have taken for this analogy. So basically, in a restaurant, when you go to a restaurant, you first pick a dish that you want to order. You
Right.
call the waiter, you order the dish. Then the waiter goes to the kitchen. Then the chef prepares the order from the ingredients he has in his storage room. So if you
Right.
consider this particular flow, we can directly relate this to a web or a mobile application. Like when consider user as the end user who is using your application. Let's say you have given an example of a form. So when he fills in the form and clicks on submit, from the front end, that is the front end, there is an API call that,
Give order. So let's say if I give order, that
yeah,
is the form, that input that's going in.
yes.
Right.
And it takes the REST API basically then takes your data and transfer it to the backend. So in this case, REST API is the waiter, which takes your requirement that you had and it goes to the backend in search of that request. Let's say you requested for some news on a topic. So it
Right.
will go in and ask the backend to find such news. The backend then will go into the database, find such news based on the business logic that you have. It gets that data and then gives it back to the REST API. And again, that REST API brings that data, and you will be shown a table full of news. So that is the whole process in terms of restaurants.
Got it. So I think that explains well how the transaction happens, as well as how the data is flown through the whole system. Now, like for a restaurant, you need an actual space where the restaurant is built and all these things. Let's say the table, the kitchen is kept. That is something in terms of tech we call as hosting or a server. Now it could be AWS server, it could be some other tools which you use for hosting. But hosting is basically the concept where, like in restaurant has a place, you need some place to host all these files and logic to serve it to users. And like you have a name for a restaurant, you also have a domain name for your product. So domain name is nothing but a .com, .in, .ai domain that you use to call this APIs or this server and to get the data back. I think we have a fairly good idea of what how the app actually works, a web app actually works. So let's explore what all vibe coding platforms are available for us as of date. I'll just go through the exact URL so you guys have the URLs, and then we'll discuss a bit more. So there is lovable.dev, there is bold.new, there is replit.com, there is v0.dev, and then there is cursor.com. So these are the few. I think there could be a few more that are available, but these are the mainstream applications that have been doing vibe coding, helping non-tech founders do vibe code currently.
So Rohit, like, how do I choose which platform to start with when I'm making an MVP?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, because all of these tools offer the same kind of service, right? They help you build web apps. Now, each and every one of them has different USPs. Like for example, what I feel with Lovable, it's very user friendly. It has good integrations that helps you take the web app to a nice level. Versal, like v0dev is very good at UI. So as you can see on their homepage, a lot of good UI has been produced by v0, and it has been specifically built for building like nice looking modern UI. On the other hand, Cursor is something that is more developer focused. It's kind of an AI like encoding tool which is more used by developers. Non-tech founders can use it, but the setup and stuff is a bit complicated compared to Bolt and Lovable. Bolt and Lovable, I think, are very similar. The pricings are even similar. Now you can see, I can just see Stripe payments, new Stripe payment support. So there are many new things that are happening with these tools.
So I feel apart from Cursor, all others are managed service. Like they have their own way to connect to a domain. They have GitHub integration. They have deployment capabilities as well. You can publish your app. I think Cursor is the only exception in this because it's an editor where you can edit your code with the help of an AI.
Right. So for all, like most of the non-techs, these are the 4 tools that they would first use. And all of these tools right away have integrations with different database and deployment and everything. So I think we would like to go into. So for this video,
let's go deep into this.
So for this video, we have took Lovable as a trial, and then we are going to go deep into this. We have just compiled a very small idea that we would try out with Lovable. So it's like we want to create an app that takes user details like name, email, interest, triggers, and then triggers a daily email with a list of news around the interest. So this is a very simple bot kind of a thing who comes up with 5 news happening in your industry for the day. Now you can use that info to maybe create LinkedIn post, maybe use it for your own purpose. So I'll just create this project.
So while it's building, can we just look around what all tools or options we have in this window?
Yeah, I think let's go first with the basic UI and how it works. So this is the chat box where you actually give commands to Lovable. You could write functionalities here. You could define what you want. You can attach images. Now this is very, very much useful. I'll down the line I'll describe this more. You have an edit functionality. This is something new that has been added. You have let's say you have the history thing where you could see once you start building, you can see history of what you have built, the history of prompts that you have given. Let's decode the top bar. There is a refresh button just to refresh the page if something doesn't work. There is this button that opens the whole web app in a new web page just to view it in a proper browser. Then there are this 4. So these are the lifelines of Lovable. What I think, there is a code viewer. This I think Shashank is the tool that no non-tech founder is going to use, right?
Yes, I think. Yeah.
This is the whole point of using Lovable, that I don't want to see the code. But yeah, sometimes in some use cases you do need to go here and see some things. But yeah, we'll come to that later. I think the 3 main tools that we're going to explore is Supabase. That's the green thing that you see here. Then GitHub, and then the actual publish button. So let's start with GitHub, Shashank. I think you can tell us more about what is GitHub. Very basically, briefly, what is GitHub, how it works, what is the usefulness, and yeah.
So consider GitHub as a storage box where all your code is getting stored. You can reference it. You can reference it from there, or you can pull that code from that and use it locally, or maybe share it to someone, some developer in future if you want to. So basically, and also the other key advantage of GitHub is, let's say you make some mistake and it's not working now, the application is not working, and you want to revert back. to the older state where it was working, you can use GitHub. It stores your versions, each version of your application as commits, and then you can go back to that version. So in
Got
layman
it.
term, it's a storage for your code.
Got it. So it's a home, like in home of your whole code base of whatever you see being developed here. The code that you see here now, you cannot physically go and copy this code and create this structure, but that is how GitHub works. So we'll just see a quick demo of how it works. So
So if you see, they have also written on the top that it's only read only, and if you want that code, you
yeah,
need to use GitHub.
exactly. So let's do that process quickly. I'll just do enable GitHub sync. What this does is uh, yeah. So what this does is it asks you to connect it with GitHub. Now, if you don't have an account with GitHub, you can always create a new account. Now that I have an account, I get this pop-up. I say sign in. Cool. It will send me a verification code. I'll just quickly. So once you do enter this code, it asks you if you want to authorize lovable.dev, which is totally fine. Now here are some settings. Now that if you're creating a new account, you ideally won't have any repositories already. Now repositories, consider repository as a folder. It's just a folder of your this specific project. If you further on create 2 new projects, there will be 2 new repositories. So repository is just another name for folder. Now I say fine, I want to give authorize to all repository. I say install and authorize. Now it's connecting with GitHub. Now you have connected your lovable with your GitHub. Now what you ideally want to do is transfer project to GitHub. Now all these terms and this nomenclature seems a bit confusing, but what you're actually doing is just asking lovable to kind of copy and paste your code to GitHub so that then you can use it from GitHub. So once I said transfer project to GitHub, it asks me in which account. Now that you have created this account, I'll just click this account. And yeah, so it says that you have now, if I copy this link and if I open this link in a new tab, it ideally shows me the whole code base that lovable has done. Now this code, you can download this code from here. You can share it with your development team in future, and that way lovable is a bit transparent. You get the code base, so you can develop it on lovable. You can use it for other purposes as well. The other thing that we're going to explore is Supabase. Now Supabase acts like an backend for your application. As we saw here, the kitchen is the backend of a restaurant. Same way, we need a backend for our application where logics are running, where there is a database which is supplying data, and there are a couple more other things that are happening. So Supabase is a third-party tool that enables all these functionalities of the backend for your application. So let's say, for example, database authentication, then there is file storage, then there are different API calls that you want to make with, let's say, OpenAI or any other AI tool. All these things become possible with Supabase. So Supabase, you can consider Supabase as a bucket of tools, of different tools that your app actually needs to serve data for the users. So the very basic tool that we could use with Supabase is the Supabase database. So database is nothing but where you can store all the data that is required for your application, and then that you can serve that data to your users. Or let's say if you want to have login authentication, and maybe you're taking some onboarding details of your user, all this data would be then stored in a Supabase database, which is then accessible to lovable. Again, let's quickly see how the connection works. So
I think our application will also be ready up to now.
Yeah, I think it ran into some issue, but I think it ran into some issue. So yeah, till that happens, we'll quickly set up Supabase. I'll connect to Supabase. Again, the same pop-up with those requests. Yeah, so now Lovable asks you that they need access to all these things. I think this is fine because it's a new project and we don't have any data. So I say create an organization. Yeah. So whatever the name of your organization is, and we are going for the free plan currently. And then we'll authorize Lovable. So connection successful. I think Supabase has been linked successfully. So now that we have the Supabase connected, let's quickly create a new project. So yeah, the organization project name. Shashank, what do we name our new app?
I think let's call it News Speed.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. News Speed. And yeah, so I'll have this password. Now guys, you have to keep this password stored somewhere securely. You may need this in future. There's a way to reset it, but yeah, storing this helps. I'll select our location and I'll create new project. Save. Now it takes some time for the project status to get live. Until then, we'll see what Lovable has built for us. Oh, I think it has already done this. I'll just open it in a new tab.
Looking good.
Yeah, already looking good. So interest-based email subscribe, get personalized news and update. That's great. So I have my name, my email. Okay, I think it broke. Let's just see again.
I think it was connecting to Supabase. Maybe it refreshed.
No. There is some issue. So yeah. So let's see if Lovable has linked our project. So now you can see we have this new project created here. So we'll just click on connect, and yeah, I think it has connected. You have access to the Supabase dashboard and Supabase tables. Now if I click on table, this is where the actual database. Now you can think of it as an Excel sheet or Excel tables. These are nothing different. It's just that it's connected with Lovable and with more useful tools. I can create a new table. I can do all this stuff, but you don't. By coding, you don't need to do all these things. Lovable will itself help you with all these things and create tables and all those things. Yeah, I think it's now connected successfully. So dashboard, manage users, editor, edge functions, secrets. So this brings us to our second part where so we saw what is Supabase, we saw what is GitHub. The two other things are what are secrets, API keys, and then how do we use those to interact with ChatGPT APIs and different APIs that are available. So Shashank, if you can quickly tell us like what are edge functions, how do those work, and what are secrets?
Edge functions, I would say it's nothing but our APIs, the business logic that we would be writing, and they would be called from the front end to make some logical decisions and storing the data.
Right.
Secrets are the important piece here because you don't want your API keys or any information to get leaked. So in this case, what you will do is instead of adding our keys, let's say you have an OpenAI account and you want to integrate ChatGPT API. So
Right.
you don't have to directly add the API key in the code. You always have to store it separately in a env file, or in this case, we will be using Supabase to store our API keys. Yeah.
Got it. And again, you don't need to do all these things. We're just giving you an overview of what these things and what these jargons are. Lovable would itself do all these things. So I'll show you a quick example. So let's say I ask Lovable that I want to get these news articles from OpenAI APIs, right? And I have a OpenAI API key. So when I prompt Lovable that I want to do something around API keys and something around OpenAI, what it would do is it would give you this option of adding an API key. Now let's say if I click on this, it tells you to add an API key. I'll just add a dummy API key for now. This would be ideally your API key from your OpenAI dashboard, but just to demonstrate, I'll just submit this. So now it got the API key, and now if you go to Supabase secret, you'll see that it has stored this API key under the secrets. So
it's stored as an encrypted key. It's not directly visible to any other user. It's an encrypted version of the key.
Right, exactly. So I did not enter this. I entered something random, but this is what it showed. So yeah, this is the encrypted key. Again, yeah. So that were the two things. Now let's see the final thing, the publish button. Now what does publish button do? Let's say you have built your applications, you have iterated a few times with Lovable, you got to your best V1 of your MVP, and now you want to share it with your users, right? That is the whole point of doing this exercise, that you want to share your MVP with users so that you get the initial validation for your idea. So you click on publish, and again click on publish, and what it does is Lovable currently support deploying your apps to their servers, and by that what I mean is that you get an easy to share link which you can share in your social network or with your friends, who can then give feedback on this app. So this is the final link of your web app that is live and that users can access directly from anywhere. But Shashank, what do you think? How is this a link that is scalable? Like can I build like thousands of users on this, or how, what is this link?
No, I don't think so. It will be scalable because they are hosting a lot of applications on their server. Like every second, someone or the other is creating an MVP on Lovable. So it's not scalable, but yeah, for initial traction and sharing with initial users, it's fine. But later on, you will need a better hosting like AWS or DigitalOcean to host your applications.
Got it. So this is mainly for the validation phase. So you take this URL, you play around with your friends, and then once you are sure that you want to deploy it for a larger audience, there are some other steps that you would need to take. I think Lovable also supports connecting your custom domain. So let's say, for example, now it has posted it on this something .lovable.app. But let's say you don't want to tell your friends that you have built this with Lovable, or you don't want this thing in your URL, right? So what you can do is go to publish, click on connect custom domain. Now connecting custom domains is a paid feature for Lovable as well as for other platforms. Now because this is a free account, it would show me that I have to purchase it. But what would happen is that once you click on add your own domain, it would ask you to do some DNS settings. It's a very well defined process. Yeah, so now that we have an overview of what tools Lovable has and how do you navigate around those tools, let's just quickly see what Lovable has built and if it's working. So I'll put my name, email. Yeah, I think it's kind of breaking every time when I click on the interest. The very simple thing is that when you use this open in a new tab thing, there are very little ways of knowing what issue it has. When you're doing it in this tab itself, there are such pop-ups that Lovable itself gives you to try and fix these things. I'll just use one of those tools. Meanwhile, Sashank, what do you think? How can we debug this issue? So whenever I go here and I click on this interest, it just gives me a white screen.
I think we can open the console log. If you right click on it and click on inspect, it will open the developer tools that we can see if there are any console logs. So yeah, I think there is a console log of undefined is not what it's written.
Iterable or something. I think it is doing
Yeah,
something with list of things. So the guys,
I
so the
think you can.
easiest,
Yeah,
yeah, we just take a screenshot of this and we kind of give it to Lovable. That this is the at the highest level how vibe coding works, right? Like you don't have to think much on why things are not working. Your precious time is spent in thinking what you have to build, and all the errors and all these things are taken care by the AI tool. So you just take a screenshot, you send it to Lovable and say that this is the error I am getting in the console. I think we did a fix from here as well. So I think let's see if it works from here. So yeah, I think this started working because Lovable. Now again, if I see here when I click on it, it's not working, right? Again, this is something that you could just take again a screenshot from here, ask Lovable that find this particular thing is not working or selecting. But yeah, when you go through this process of vibe coding, there are times when you come across these issues and you have to spend a bit more of time, and that's the not good part of this vibe coding journey.
I
And
would say that that is a frustrating part for a non-tech
yeah, for a non
if he is into a loop of breaking
error.
things.
Yeah. But yeah, so this was an overview of vibe coding. Let us know if there is anything else you would like to know. We are going to do deep dives into the features as well as different tools in coming time. And I think Sashank, we would like to tell us how we are supporting this journey of non-tech founders, like with our new.
Yeah, so from our past videos and few clients that we have worked with recently, we have got to know that they are excited of using this AI tools for making their MVP, but they get frustrated, they get lost when there are issues that they run into, similarly to what we ran into, which are
Right,
not that easy to debug, right?
right,
So what we have done is, with an experience of working with more than 50 plus founders now and making MVP, we have come up with a basic consultation call that we can come up and solve your issues. Let's say in 10 to 30 minutes of call, we can come
right,
into the call and we can solve that issues.
right.
If you
So this
can
is,
elaborate more on that, Rohit.
yeah, like it's an on-demand service where you could just pick up a like a phone, book a call, talk with us, and we would be very happy to fix these kind of issues or help you with any other conceptual issues or any other flow issues that you are going through. But yeah, this is just a help that we are offering to all the non-tech white coders out there. And yeah, we wish that the journey is bug free and you get to deploy amazing applications. And yeah, as said earlier, we'll be coming up with more such content and more such videos. So stay tuned and subscribe to Joistic, like this video, and see you in the next one. Thank you so much, guys.
Peace.